So far we've got a Superman movie that would definitely be action-packed and have a pretty good story. However, one of the things that separates great movies from action blockbusters is the heart. The audience needs to connect with and relate to the characters, or it'll feel like something's missing. One of the things that made Christopher Nolan's Batman movies better than what had come before was the fact that they were multiple well-developed characters with good stories. After leaving this movie, audiences should feel like they've seen the characters in a new way and know them on a deeper level. This section is about some of what the writers should think about when bringing these characters to life. I got called upon to give my all, to have purpose, like I was finally part of something rather than standing alone on the sidelines, like I was connected to the world. And man, I want to feel that way again. That means no longer running from who I really am. There's a lot of pressure on the actor who plays Superman in this movie. Christopher Reeve's performance was one of the things that made people love Superman in the movie. He was so likable and fully embodied everything people thought Superman should be. It's not much of an exaggeration to say that the reception of this movie depends partly on the ability of this actor to make people like him, not to mention the fact that he's portraying an icon who's been played by several people over the past 70 years. The way the portrayal of any character turns out depends partly on the writing and direction, but also partly on the actor. The interesting thing about Superman is that there are so many sides to this character. On the basic level, you have Clark Kent, the mild-mannered reporter, and Superman, the hero. Traditionally, Clark Kent is the disguise and Superman is the real personality. But when you look closer, there's more than that. There's also Clark Kent, son of Jonathan and Martha Kent. This is the person he's been his entire life before the dual identity, so it's the closest to who he really is. There's also Kal-El, the son of Jor-el and Lara, and the last son of Krypton. Since he's been searching for where he came from for his entire life, and he's recently found out that he's the last thing that remains of the Kryptonian civilization, he has a desire to embrace this part of his identity. When you combine the last two parts of the whole Superman identity, you get the real personality of Clark Kent. I think the script needs to provide enough scenes of him being this person just by himself, and so the audience can truly understand who this character is. I feel that previous Superman movies haven't done very much of that. When he's at the Daily Planet, he's playing the role of Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter. I wanted to be convincing that people wouldn't figure out that Clark and Superman are the same person, so the actor should play them as two completely different characters. As much as I love Christopher Reeve's performance as Superman, I feel like he played Clark as Superman pretending to be Clark. His Clark performance was just a little bit over the top for me. I want the actor to play Clark Kent as if that's who the character really is. He's just a very boring guy that you just kind of ignore. He slouches, he wears clothes that are slightly too big for him, and he speaks very softly. The point of the Clark Kent identity is to keep a low profile so he doesn't get noticed. There can still be hints of him being nerdy, wimpy, and clumsy, but it should be subtle and believable. When he's out saving people as Superman, he's much closer to his real personality, but he's still not fully himself. Every person acts slightly differently according to the situation they're in. A person is one way on the job, but they're kind of a different person when they're among family and friends. When he's out in public being Superman, it's kind of like a job for him. This movie is about him acceptance in the world when the concept of someone with superpowers is completely new. He would carry himself a bit more formally and professionally because his early days as Superman are sort of like a job interview. He's not trying to fake something, but he's trying to present the best of himself to the world. He has very good posture, and his voice is stronger and deeper than Clark's. When Clark meets Lois as Superman, he feels comfortable around her and he trusts her, so he lets his guard down a bit. And you see, she is able to see more of the relaxed, true Clark Kent. Another way to show this character is to have more scenes with him and his parents. These scenes in which the audience gets a look at who the Superman really is are really crucial to having them connect to the character. One of the problems people have with Superman is that they don't feel like they can relate to him. This movie needs to make Superman feel like a real person. In the early scenes, before Clark creates the dual identity, he's being himself, but he's more unsure of who he is and where he came from. I don't want him to start off weak and self-doubting, but I don't think he should be in the place where he's exactly the Superman we know and love until the end of the movie. As he grows more comfortable in his new role, he becomes more sure of himself and his confidence grows. As for the basic personality of Superman, the actor should definitely be able to portray the strength and toughness, but he should also be able to make him feel kind, warm, and caring. Superman should feel like a person you really want to know and be around in real life.
I'm the only sane inmate of Asylum Earth. I'm not eager to hand tomorrow over to an interplanetary extremist with laser eyes. There's only room for one leader, Superman. When I'm finished with you, every last Gibbon out there will know you for the menace you are, and they'll realize that Lex Luthor is their savior.
Most of what I have for Lex's story arc is already included in the conflict section, so I won't really include much of that in this. I think the best point of reference for the actor portraying Lex is Clancy Brown's Lex from Superman the Animated Series. Michael Rosenbaum's Lex is also pretty good, but most of what Smallville focused on was before Lex was actually a villain. So, the Lex that I would like to see in this movie is the powerful businessman and genius scientist. Lex Luthor is Superman's arch nemesis, so he has to seem like a formidable opponent. Lex's greatest strengths are his intelligence and his unlimited resources, so he has to seem incredibly intelligent, but with a definite slyness. Most of the time he has an air of arrogance because he feels like he's in control. He does whatever he wants and nobody is really able to challenge him. Lex controls a lot of Metropolis, including a good portion of the press, so he's able to control how the public perceives him. When Superman shows up, people are suddenly interested in someone else. Lex isn't nearly as interesting to write about as a guy who can actually fly. To make things worse, Superman doesn't want to tolerate Lex's behavior. He dares to stand up to the most powerful men in the city. Superman is someone who Lex can't buy off or control, so it angers Lex. Throughout the movie, he tries to hold on to his calm, smooth demeanor, but you see him slip at times. When Superman refuses to work with Lex and tells him that he's going to try to break him down, you see Lex angry after Superman leaves. However, he always has a plan, so you can see the slyness and tell that he has something up his sleeve. You only truly see him lose it when his plan has fallen to pieces around him at the very end of the movie. In the scene where Lex beats Superman, you get a sense that he's truly a cruel and hateful person.
That's it.